Hello, and welcome to this episode about failed back surgery. Today I'm going to cover 3 important and likely eye-opening perspectives on this difficult topic. Number 1, the primary reason why back surgeries fail. Number 2, why back surgery failure is such a common problem. And number 3, how you can overcome your original back pain without more surgery. Now, if you're watching this video right now, you or a loved one have likely been an unfortunate casualty of back surgery. So hang with me and let's get you on the right track to real recovery. And you're not alone, my friend. Failed back surgery is a very common problem. In fact, as far as I can tell, but who knows for certain since the data is often manipulated, back surgery seems to fail most of the time. Certainly no one that I've known has had what I would consider a successful back surgery. They always have problems. The pain always comes back or never really goes away. Way too often, multiple surgeries are needed to fix problems created by the first operation. The whole back surgery process seems to be completely dysfunctional at best. Why does back surgery fail so often? Back surgery fails most often because the diagnosis is wrong, plain and simple. And when the diagnosis is wrong, the treatment that follows, in this case surgery, is also wrong. In other words, they're treating the wrong thing. And this happens because the medical community has tunnel vision. Without considering any other diagnosis, they point to the spine and defective discs as the cause of back pain pretty much 100% of the time. But what if that's not right? If it's not the spine, then any treatment that follows, including chiropractors, epidural shots, and surgery, will not be successful. And guess what? None of these treatments are successful. So maybe your pain didn't originate in your spine in the first place, and I can prove it. The New England Journal Back Pain Study. That's right. It's not just me saying that your spine isn't the source of your back pain. In 2011, the New England Journal of Medicine published a study which involved almost 200 asymptomatic test subjects who were completely pain-free and had never had any back pain. Asymptomatic just means that they had no symptoms. They did an MRI on each test subject. So you would expect that since none of these people had back pain, then their MRI should come back clean as the wind-driven snow, right? But that's not what happened. 70% had disc abnormalities. 52% had bulging discs. 27% had at least one herniated disc. And 65% had degenerative disc disease. So the results of this study showed that 70% of people who had never had back pain did have disc abnormalities, or what we've been told are disc abnormalities, instead of just normal changes to the human spine that happen over time as we age. Now here's the problem. If you showed the MRIs of these pain-free people to a radiologist or a spine surgeon, they would say about 70% of them needed surgery, even though in this study, none of the test subjects had any back pain. So the bottom line is that there's no correlation between MRI results and back pain. And yet that's what surgeons use to determine whether someone, including you, needs surgery. It's astounding, but that study didn't change anything in the orthopedic trenches. So unfortunately, the reason your back surgery failed is probably because you didn't need it in the first place. It would be like bringing your car to a mechanic with a bad alternator, and instead they replace the radiator. The car's not going to work right, is it? What is causing the back pain? According to Dr. John Sarno, who specialized in treating back pain at New York University Hospital for nearly half a century, almost all, 90%, of back pain is caused by emotional tension, like stress and anxiety. You see, stress activates the body's fight or flight response, which releases high levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, into your body. Cortisol tightens and inflames back muscles, and that eventually creates chronic pain. So the origin of the pain is stress, not the spine. And the location of the pain is muscle and other soft tissue, also not the spine. Dr. Sarno called his stress-based back pain diagnosis tension myositis syndrome, or TMS for short. And if you're wondering, myositis simply means muscle inflammation. And he cured over 10,000 back pain sufferers at his clinic in New York. And believe it or not, he did it without medical treatment. As Dr. Sarno put it, information is the cure. And this all makes sense, doesn't it? In fact, we had a client recently, Peter in London, who had a herniated disc diagnosis and had endured 2 failed back surgeries. But when he switched to the TMS diagnosis and re-educated himself, he was completely healed in just 3 weeks. And that was after years of chronic back pain. When you get the correct diagnosis, everything becomes a lot easier. So what should you do now? I know that after all you've already been through and are still suffering from, it's not easy to accept that your back surgery might not have been necessary. In fact, it's very likely it wasn't. But you know, the average income for a spine surgeon in the United States in 2023 was $844,000. That's a lot of money in exchange for unnecessary and potentially harmful surgery. And unfortunately, it's not going to stop anytime soon. There is actually one incredibly honest and courageous MIT-trained spine surgeon whose conscience couldn't take it anymore. So he quit the profession in 2024. His alias name is Dr. Gooby, and he posted a YouTube video about quitting spine surgery because even though his surgeries were perfectly performed, his patients rarely got better. You can find Dr. Gooby, spelled Goobie, by searching YouTube. His heartfelt story about quitting neurosurgery got 10 million views in the first week. But your number one job right now is to move forward, heal without more surgery or any other medical treatments, and live your best life. Now, you don't have to accept everything I'm saying as gospel right now, but please do be open to some new ideas. For example, you need to be open to the fact that your spine is not causing your back pain, that emotional tension is the root cause of your pain, and you can solve this. You also need to be open to the fact that your doctors don't know everything and may not always be looking out for your best interest. And I'm sorry I have to say this, but that's the reality we live in. And then finally, you've got to welcome the idea that once you have the correct diagnosis and a winning strategy, curing your back pain is actually quite fast and easy. And that last one is the hardest one, but the most important. After years of faulty programming and failed treatments, the idea that you could cure yourself in about 30 days probably seems impossible, but it's not. I've seen it happen time and time again. I'm Laura Thornton. I healed my back pain, and you can too. To start the healing process, watch our free 3-step guide to healing back pain. You can find this guide at calmyourback.com, and there's a link below this video. But before you go, watch just a bit longer to check out some of our past client success stories, all of whom endured years of medical treatment before finding the truth and healing themselves quickly and easily with our program. You can be next. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.
My name is Rusty Frayne, and I have had back issues for more than 15 years. And it's hard to believe that after reading a book and watching video modules from John and Laura, that in 2 days, only 2 days, I could cure the pain in my back. It's hard to believe. In fact, none of my friends believe it, but I'm the one who's playing golf 3 days a week, working out in the gym 3 days a week, stretching, walking, doing anything that I want to do, including yard work that I couldn't do before.
I've seen pretty much every doctor at Kaiser because I'm going back trying to find answers, and each doctor would just say, you know, the physical therapy or, you know, more medication, more injections. And the last doctor I saw just pretty much told me that she had back issues, and her answer was to, as soon as her son turned 2, to never pick him up again. And she just turned to me and said, you know, you're never going to be able to pick up your son. You know, it's just picking up your son causes too much back pain. So it's something that you're not going to be able to do. And I left there, and I could cry right now, you know, just thought of it. But, you know, I go to the park all the time with my son, and I pick up my son every day, so because of your guys' workshop. So,
hey, my name is Aziz Gazipora, and with the help of Laura and John from the Pain Cure Clinic, I went from stuck and in pain and afraid of that pain to feeling fully strong in my body, able to do anything I want, running, lifting, throwing my kids on the bed, wrestling, what you name it, and having total certainty that the pain's not going to just come out of nowhere and get me again. And to me, that's more valuable than even being able-bodied. It's that I'm not afraid of the pain in the future. And that's very exciting.
I was able to walk without my walker. I could walk 100 feet without any assistance within weeks of this program. I was able to walk up and down stairs, which I hadn't been able to do for years.
Wow, that is fantastic. I mean, that is really good.
It is mind-blowing. You've made it so easy. I just follow the steps.
So where am I right now? Well, I am 8 months later. I've not gone to the chiropractor. I have no reason to go to the chiropractor. This is after going to a chiropractor every week for 17 years. And I have not gone to a chiropractor at all. I have no problems. I have no pain. That lingering thought in your brain, is something going to happen? That doesn't even exist anymore. I don't even think about it anymore. If you're out there and you're suffering from TMS, join John and Laura's program, go through it, and put in the work. If you put in the work, you're going to get past this stuff.
When it got worse, it became a 24/7 thing. It was, I am now bedridden. There's like anything and everything I thought that I could do with my life was gone. And it got progressively worse over the next year. And so by the time 2021 had hit, late 2020, I tried going back to online college. I was certified disabled. Doctors signed off everything. And I tried to do online college. It was like all the disability benefits. Even with that, I still couldn't complete a semester of school. It was so bad. I physically couldn't. I had no way to use a computer. It was that bad. I couldn't sit up on my own. I couldn't stand up to use a standing desk. I couldn't do anything. So I'm lifting, but I'm squatting, having heavy loads. I'm talking hundreds of pounds on my back. Squatting, deadlifting. I'm pulling up 150 pounds off of the ground. Bench pressing, I benched 225 for the first time in years the other day. That's 225 pounds. That's a lot of weight to have on my spine.
So I did that. I watched all the videos. I read all the lessons twice. And I before I worked on the calendar part, I just kept watching and learning. And about halfway through the second go around of videos, all the pain went away.
Wow.
It's been going 100% since then.
Yeah, basically climbed out of a hole that I thought I would never be able to get out of at points. So yeah, I'm just overjoyed to have my life back. I'd like to thank John and Laura at the Pain Cure Clinic for guiding me and educating me through this process, which has really been the cherry on the cake for me and allowed me to not just live out my normal lifestyle, but completely get rid of that fear and do things that I never thought I was going to be able to do again. So yeah, thank you so much. Just like to record this moment as it's the first time I've been hiking since I've got out my wheelchair. I haven't walked properly in 3 years. And I am up in the mountains. My favourite place to be. I thought I'd never get back up here.
So you need to do this modular program and read some books, invest in yourself, because if you don't invest in yourself, no one else will. And I can promise you, it will deliver you results.
And now I got my life back. So thank you. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you again, John and Laura, and I encourage you to reach out, take that next step and transform your life and be pain-free. It's possible.
I am just so grateful that you came into my life, John and Laura. I feel like I know you.
I have no problems. I have no pain.
You can put out a little bit of money to build a program. But yeah, thank you guys.
There is a solution out there, and it exists on this guy's website. So I would recommend it.
Thank you so much.